this Monday. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving weekend. It's all in the details for the new Corvette. That story coming up. But first, our Angelina Zarnecki is in the newsroom with your headlines.
Thanks, Jen. UAW leaders from Fiat Chrysler plants around the country will review the union's tentative agreement with the automaker on Wednesday. The group will decide on whether to recommend the contract for a full vote of the rank and file. If approved, the union said the ratification process could begin as early as Friday. FCA and the UAW announced they had reached a deal on Saturday. Bloomberg reported that as part of the deal, FCA agreed not to close any plants in the U.S. and the automaker would slot new product in an Illinois assembly plant. The pact also reportedly includes a $9,000 signing bonus for workers. The union said the contract promises $4.5 billion in new investments. Meantime, U.S. Attorney Matthew Schneider said he was unimpressed with the UAW's recently announced reform efforts and that federal oversight is an option to deal with corruption in union leadership when the federal probe ends. In an interview with the Detroit News, Schneider also said he was displeased with the lack of cooperation from the union during the investigation. UAW spokesman Brian Rothenberg telling the newspaper the union has cooperated with prosecutors and it will announce accounting changes and new financial controls today. So far, 13 people have been charged in a wide-ranging corruption investigation into the union. 10 have pled guilty.
I intend to build a corporate culture where we listen to customers, dealers, suppliers, and a wide range of stakeholders in and outside the organization, a culture where different opinions are welcomed.
That's Nissan's new CEO, Makoto Uchida, at a news conference today at the company's headquarters in Japan. Uchida officially took over as chief executive December 1st. Today, he outlined a three-pronged plan of attack for rebuilding the automaker. He said Nissan would revive its U.S. business, crack down on costs, and stoke revenue through fresh product and next-generation technologies. Uchida also said the company would cooperate closely with alliance partners Renault and Mitsubishi while maintaining Nissan's independence. And Daimler plans to cut at least 10,000 jobs worldwide over the next 3 years. The reduction is aimed at saving more than $1.5 billion in costs by the end of 2022. About 1,100 management positions will be eliminated. The move is being made so the automaker can invest in electric and autonomous vehicles. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Angelina. While the engine is slotted behind the driver on the 2020 Chevy Corvette, the power plant's design by no means took a back seat.
I'll talk about the beating heart of the Corvette, the engine.
Because the small block V8 engine is visible through a clear hatch in the Vette's body, engineers not only had to think about function, but also aesthetics. As our Hannah Lutz reports, designers stepped in to lend their expertise. However, it took some time for the teams to learn each other's language, so to speak. Paul Arnone, lead creative designer for Performance Interiors, said, quote, "The first time I tried to explain beautification to the engineers, they looked at me like I had 3 eyes." The teams went back and forth for about a year before finalizing an engine that achieved their design and performance goals. One detail, the design team created a new bolt style inspired by ones on Ducati motorcycles. That's because they didn't like any of GM's pre-approved bolts. GM plans to start building the 2020 Corvette in February in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Finally, a first shift flashback. On this day in 1927, the Model A, Ford's successor to the Model T, was introduced to the public and dealers. That is our time for today. Remember, Auto News Now comes your way this afternoon. Take care.